Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome to the first episode of Cam's Conversations, a place where we invite men to come on and talk about their experiences with their mental health and trying to break down the stigmas around men's mental health and all the stereotypes that comes with it. So yeah, thank you for joining us and we hope you enjoy. So first of all, if you don't know, I'm Cameron and I'm going to be the host of this show, of this podcast, and our first brave guest, none other than a lifelong friend of mine, my good friend James Penfold.
We'll say Jimmy for the podcast.
Yeah, Jimmy for the podcast, because no one calls you James. So Jimmy has been kind enough and brave enough to jump on as the first guest for our podcast, which is obviously, as anyone who struggles with mental health or just in general life really understands how hard it is to open up and talk about things that's gone on in your life. Jimmy's kindly enough been the first person to offer and open up about his story, which is a very inspiring one, to say the least. So yeah, without further ado, we're just going to jump straight into it. We're going to keep it nice and chilled, and we're just going to have a nice conversation, and we're just going to go over some points. We're going to dive into Jimmy's past, some events that's happened in Jimmy's life that has formed him into the man that he is today. So yeah, we hope you enjoy, and once again, thank you for listening. So where should we start? If you want to tell them a bit about you, who you are, how we know each other, kind of give them the background information, and then we'll kind of roll on from there.
Right, well, as Cameron said, my name's Jimmy. Well, on paper it's James, but I'm known as Jimmy. So I've known Cameron since, well, theoretically since birth.
Since day dot.
Since day dot, theoretically since day dot. So our parents were friends from a young age, and they knew each other during pregnancy, and then I was raised in Mitcham, Cameron was raised in Simonson ways. So we kind of kept apart and then ended up at secondary school, and then went from there. And ever since that, we've been close friends. Obviously, I've been a part of Mental Muscle, helping with the football side of things, and obviously the guys that I've seen YouTube before, I've been a part of that. But yeah, it's safe to say that I'm confident talking about this because with Cameron, you've been a part of the journey as much as most people. You know, of all those kind of significant things that have happened in my life, Cameron's been there to support and also been a part of it as well. So yeah, man, we go back to school days really.
Yeah, man. I remember it was just that weird thing where it was like, you turn up first day year 7 and we're all bobbing around the school, and it was like, I don't even know how we got to our first conversation. I just remember it was in the playground. You was with someone I knew from my class, and you was with someone and I can't remember which boy it was. He was in your tutor group, and then we just got chatting, and then it probably took us like a good 6 months to a year.
It took us a long time. It took us when we went football when your mum was there.
Yeah. So Jimmy was playing for the rival football team that I was playing for, and then we kind of did a bit of a sly transfer at the end of the season. We kind of brought Jimmy in on the little sly one. And then it was only then when our mums met. Then it was a bit like, oh Jesus, like I know you're from this and that, and they used to play darts together in Mitcham. And we were just like small world. Like this was years ago when both our mums were pregnant with us. So yeah, the world works in mysterious ways. It was so strange, and then since then it was like joint at the hip throughout the whole of secondary school. Played for all the same football teams. Did everything together. So yeah, crazy. So if we're going to dive in a little bit deeper, we'll start talking about your mental health experiences, what's happened with you, what triggered, what happened for your mental health to start maybe taking some dips, your tough times. I'm gonna leave this all to you. You put in what you want them to hear, you put out.
No, of course, man.
It's completely up to you. But I think they'll definitely enjoy where you come from and what you stand for.
Yeah, well, I mean, so for me personally, my mental health kind of kicked in and took a negative turn around the age of 14. So obviously my story of the depression, anxiety and stuff like that kind of did downhill on the 30th of March 2014, which was the day I lost my mum.
How old?
So I was 14, so we was in year 9. So I remember we was playing football.
We was playing football.
I
remember the exact day.
Chesed away.
Yeah, I remember your mum went in on a Friday night. I'm pretty sure your mum went in in that week, and you told me you come into school and you told me like, oh, mum's had a bit of a downhill again.
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll be alright. She'll just see it through.
Yeah, of course.
And then I remember Saturday night. I was like to you like, oh, how's mum doing? And you was like, yeah, she's alright. She's staying overnight again. And then Sunday we played football in Chesington. And we both had the game of our lives, and we played so well. Yeah. And then I remember later on, you went to the hospital, and then I found out the next morning.
Yeah. Because I texted you because it happened early hours of night time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So kind of the situation with that was, so when I was younger, I think it must have been like 10 or 11. We was on our way down to Bognor Regis in the car, and a car was coming behind our car and hit us. And I was lucky enough to come out alright. I was in the back seat and my nan and my mum were in the front seats. My mum didn't come off as alright, she really damaged her arm. Ever since that she kind of just had really bad arm problems, like obviously all her bone had she had to put metal plates in there and the bone and like just crushed down. So because of that obviously it makes you quite vulnerable to illnesses and stuff like that, and unfortunately a couple of years down the line my mum did get cancer in a numerous amount of places. But I was too young for that understand at the time, so my mum actually never, even to this day, never actually said to me that I've got cancer. She never said to me she wasn't well. I kind of put the pieces together, being a nosy little Roman child I was going through all the drawers in the house thinking what's going on, why is everyone so down? Eventually I found a book about cancer and how to heal it and stuff like that, and I did bring it up and question it, and then my mum kind of said like, oh, it's for a friend, and then I went on the laptop and there was more stuff there, so I eventually put 2 and 2 together, and no matter how many times I asked her, she would never tell me.
Yeah, I think it's hard, isn't it?
But no, I started to eventually clock on. My mum was going into hospital a lot, so she was actually ill for a good 2 or 3 years before she passed away. Yeah. So it was inevitable that she was going to pass, so we just didn't have a time and when. So yeah, I remember, so she kept going into hospital and it was getting really bad, and I turned around to my dad one day and just turned around to him and said, look, you need to tell me what's going on, because I know something's not right, but it's not fair for me to keep guessing. Like, just tell me what's going on. And my dad got really upset and got a bit emotional and just said to me like, look, your mum's not well. I'm not supposed to tell you, but it's not fair to not tell you. So I found out from then. So obviously, like you said, like you was aware of what was going on. A lot of people were aware at the time. I've always been very open with it. Like I've always been confident in talking about stuff like this, because talking is the answer to most things.
Yeah, I can't lie. From one thing for me that stands out a lot was one thing I learned a lot from you from a young age was to not worry about actually talking out, because you had all of this going on in your life and you didn't let it get to you. Do you know what I mean? You come in every day to school and you're smiling, you're laughing and all this, and half the school, we went to a big school, right, where there's like 2,000 people in our school, and people, 99% of these people look at Jimmy and they see, like all you'd hear is, oh, he's so funny, he's such a bubbly guy, like he seems so happy and all of this. And then it's mad because you've got this whole other life on the other side of it, like. So that's one thing I definitely learned from you from a young age, is that your ability to just talk how you feel and talk what's going on, and you had that mentality like, oh, I'm going to take today for what today is, and I'm going to take tomorrow for tomorrow is.
Yeah, no, so with that, I'll cut that out. So yeah, no, with the whole mental health thing, going back to that, so yeah, so obviously we knew it was coming for a long time, and my mum kind of throughout the last kind of few months of my life did remain in Royal Marsden Hospital, and big shout out to them because they done a lot for us, and definitely done a lot for my mum, so big up to Royal Marsden. So yeah, she was in hospital for a lot of months of her life, and it was coming up to Mother's Day, so my mum did actually pass away on Mother's Day, which was the Sunday, and then so she was in hospital for a long time, and then it was on the Saturday that she was allowed to be released, because they said like, you're looking a bit better at the moment, so we'll let you go out for a couple of days and you can come back. And then So she went to my godmum's in Ashford just for like a spa day, little shopping trip, you know what I mean? Imagine being in the hospital with mums at the time. It deteriorate anyone. So she went out, done a bit of shopping, so we've gone to football, played at Cheshire, were kind of our rivals at the time as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
players
always,
there as well.
Yeah.
And then we played the game, and I remember I looked around after, and I'm quite an open person when it comes to my friends' parents. Like, I'd always call them Marge and Father. And,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always give them a hug and kiss and all that stuff. Like, I'm very open with my people's families. And I remember I went round to everyone's mum on the side of the pitch, even like your auntie and stuff like that, and like, oh, happy Mother's Day, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I remember I just looked around and went, hang on a minute, my mum's not even in. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm saying it to all these people, and everyone's going up to their mum's going, happy Mother's Day, and I didn't get the chance to do that.
Yeah.
So I remember I walked away from the football pitch, we got in the car, we're going home, and obviously I was planning on seeing my mum that day anyway, she was meant to be coming home. I remember me and my dad were in the car, and I must have called her about 3 or 4 times, there's no answer. And then I remember my dad called and had no answer. And then my godmum, who she was with, called us up and was like, look, she's coming to hospital, she's really not well.
Yeah.
So we've driven up there, and by the time we've got there, my nan's there, my granddad's there, like obviously all close family, my siblings included were there.
Yeah.
And we was in the waiting room, and everyone was proper emotional. But obviously, like I said, I was only 14, so
I guess.
and where I've seen my mum in hospital so many times, it's just like, oh, mum's not well again.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it got to the point where we had so many close experiences that it was just like, another one's just like, oh, she'll be fine, she's a very strong woman, do you know what I mean? You knew her, like, she was a fighter regardless. Like, you wouldn't have looked at her and think, oh, she's unwell with her. How her personality was. Like, you wouldn't have thought she was unwell, she wouldn't let her get her down. No. So I'm in hospital and I've walked into the room that she's in, and she's laying there, she's got with a mask on and stuff, and she's trying to talk to me, but she's not able to.
Yeah. But
I'm in there having a laugh with her, going, what are you worrying for? Like, come on, get on with it, like, we're all good here.
Yeah.
I've gone back in the waiting room and everyone's getting really emotional at this point. And then my dad's walked into me and said, look, it's time to kind of say your goodbyes now, really.
Yeah.
So we've got in there, you know, I'm holding her hand and that. She's trying to talk to me, but she's not allowed to take this mask off. She's not taking it off.
No, of course, bro.
So she's trying to talk to me, she's holding my hand and all that stuff. And then I did actually give her Mother's Day present and her card, but unfortunately she never actually got the opportunity to open it. And I remember all my family were like, right, I'm selling my football stuff at this point.
Yeah.
I'm a centre-back, I was doing
big
slide tackles, shin pads, everything. Doing big slide tackles,
Yeah.
covered in mud, sitting in this hospital. So my family were like, right, go home. You know, obviously at the time I'm too young, so they don't want me to be around.
You don't want to spend too much time around that environment at your age, innit?
Yeah, and next thing I knew, I'd gone home and then she had passed away. So that was kind of
peacefully,
for me, peacefully. Like,
peacefully.
You know what I mean? She's definitely resting well and that. Like, that's the big thing as well. Is a lot of people do question me, like, in the sense of, like, I'm not a big crier, I'm not a very emotional person. So when it happened for me, like, so I remember on the Monday, you had taken the day off school for me as well.
I took a whole week.
Yeah,
I remember I took a whole week.
Cameron had taken the day off of school for me.
No, do you know what? Yeah, bro. I
we went to the calf, remember Mama's?
Yeah, bro.
I remember. Calf, and then we walked up to school, we went back to school.
Yeah.
And then everyone was like, what are you doing
But do you know what? It was that morning, you know, I got up, and obviously we're so young, so my mum was still, when I wake up in the morning, she'd bring me my school clothes. She'd be like, she'd hang them up the night before, and then she'd bring them to me in the morning when I woke up. And then, you know, like, you just know when someone, when that vibe isn't there, and I was just like, And then, I was like, we just had a lovely day yesterday for Mother's Day. I was like, what could possibly be wrong? And then I went downstairs, and I remember she was crying. I was like, no, this ain't right. And I remember she took me into the dining room, she sat down and she told me, and I remember I just burst into tears. And I was like, what? And my nan was, and at this point, when my nan lived local, she'd come down, so she'd be at my house 2 days a week, like kind of just helping out and stuff. And I remember she was waiting in the car for me, thinking that my mum wasn't going to tell me. And then she told me, and then I just remember I just cried. And then I was like, I need to go there. And my mum was like, I have no worries about you not going to school because of this. I got my nan to drop me to yours. I come in, I remember Shelley, it was just you and Shelley there. And Shelley's Jimmy's sister, and your dad. Your dad wasn't in there yet. I remember, no, it was just you and Shelley, and you were watching a movie, you were sitting on the floor, and I come in, and then I was sitting there and all of this, and we was all fine. We was all just sitting there, and it was quiet, but it's like, it was nice. It was just like, it was just nice to be there. I remember your dad came in, and then everything just went left. And then I was crying, Jimmy's crying, Shelley's crying, and we're just thinking, flipping hell, man. Like, what has happened? Like you've gone from such a high to just such a low in 24 hours.
Like flat, man. You never know what's around the corner at any point.
Exactly. Like,
you never know what's around the corner.
And I think, you know what though, I think the more I think about it, I think that was definitely a sign for me where I was like, you can't take anything for granted.
No,
like,
not at all.
We've gone
and that's one thing that I've always regretted, is that I did take it for granted in the sense of, you know, with that being the last time my mum was there, when I was there, I was acting like it wasn't the last time. You know what I mean? You did never do know when your last moment saw, which is why you've got to take everything as it comes.
Yeah, man.
You've got to appreciate everything you've got. Like,
I think
that's a big thing. That's been my problem. I've never appreciated nothing. So that's kind of why nowadays I'm like, any opportunity I get, I'll do it.
Just go for it. Do it.
I'll try to say no as much as I can. But then again, that's not a consistent thing. That's a new thing for me. Like it's been the last few months I've only learned to start saying yes to things I wouldn't normally say yes to.
Yeah, of course, man.
Because I've finally come to the age and the understanding where you've just got to take everything as it comes.
And I think one thing for you, right? I think at 14 years old, bro, I'm generally speaking, right? Most people live the majority of their lives with their parents in their life. Like, it's only like, obviously it's so unfortunate, but like whenever they go, like I can't imagine that feeling whatsoever. But I just think at 14 years old, to go through something like that is just mental. Like, and I even to this day, the first thing I say whenever I'll introduce you to somebody, or somebody mentions you and I'm talking and we're talking, the first thing I say is just the strongest person I've ever met in my life, like genuinely. And I couldn't name somebody, like if that was me, I have no idea what I would have done.
Of course, but this is another thing as well. Like obviously when we went up to school the day after, we went to the cafe and walked up to school, and I remember there was teachers coming up to me, hugging me and crying, and they was obviously overwhelmed by it.
And we was a bit like, wait, what? Like, do you know? And then like obviously the whole school found out at this point. A lot of people had found out. There was obviously like other students, like people that we was at school with, coming up to me and being like, oh, what are you doing? Why are you here? What's going on? Like, and all this stuff. But this is the thing, mate. Like I've said it to a lot of people. Obviously, a lot of people that still have both their parents will turn around to someone that doesn't have one of their, or even both of their parents, if you're unfortunate that much, and they'll be like, how are you doing it? I can never imagine it. But if I lost my mum and you had lost your mum, I can never tell you how you feel. No. We could have lost our parents on the exact same day for the exact same reason, and there was no way, hell on earth, we feel the same way. No. You know, I'm very fortunate. I know people that have lost their mum that have taken it really, really badly. Yeah. And for me personally, I'm very, as horrible as it might sound, I'm very emotionless to the situation because I just accepted the fact that nothing is going to change now. Yeah, of course. And that's a big thing. And for me, like, I'm very fortunate to have someone like my dad, because my dad is very old school. My dad's very straight to the point. Yeah. And there's no beating around the bush. It's just straight up. This is what's happening. So my dad was like to me, you've just got to get on with it. Bro. Yeah. And it was always so true that you have just got to get on with it. Like, there was. I remember you was back in school within like a week. Yeah. People. I remember because quite a few people had found out by then. Yeah. Because everyone was a bit like. I remember you was getting a lot of texts and I was getting quite a few texts like, why are you not at school? And then we're just saying to these people like, don't worry. No, but then word spreads, and then remember we turned up on Monday, and then it was just everyone was just like, everyone like seeing their ghost, didn't it? They was like, what are you doing back here? What are you doing back here? Like even when I turned up and I was like, I knew you was coming, but when I see you back in that uniform, I was just like. This is mental. Yeah. I was like a week ago. But I tell you what, I never regret. Like I don't regret anything. Yeah, but I really do not regret going back to school. I think that's personally the best thing that I could have done. 100%. Because if I'm sitting indoors, obviously with my dad being depressed and my siblings being depressed about it as well. If I'm sitting indoors, that mentality staying with me. Yeah, I was very fortunate to get on with a lot of people in school. Like there was very few people that would come up to me in school and say I don't like you. I remember there was a great support system of it was down. Oh mate, absolutely. We got to give one shout out. I know she'll probably never ever watch this. Miss Lamar. Yes, honestly, Miss Lamar, if you see this, you are up there with the elite human beings. Yeah, 100%. This woman 100%. She was the best. She was like our kind of counsellor at school, really. Yeah, she was like. To be fair, I can't even knock the whole system. Like, I wasn't a massive fan of school in general. Like you know that. Like, I wasn't the best well behaved. Yeah. My attendance wasn't the best, but
as an older person now, when I haven't been in secondary school for 4 years, like I appreciate the whole system, even the teachers at school you don't like.
Yeah.
And nowadays I appreciate that because that's just the economy. That's just the way the world works. There's people who don't like, there's people who do like.
Yeah, and that's why.
But like, there's so many teachers that would never understand it. But like, even just Riddlesdown in general, like, a massive thank you because just giving me the opportunity to come back to school and just to be treated as normal is a massive help.
Yeah, because I think sometimes it's hard because if something like tragic happens to you, you get a lot of the sympathy stick.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that can lead to like a negative effect because it's just like I feel like you're only doing this because you know what has happened to me. Whereas Riddlesdown, it was kind of like, listen, you're going to come on under our wing, but we're not going to treat you any different to any other student.
Yeah, of course.
But just know, if you need to get out of that classroom and you need to go and speak to
someone.
someone.
They used to give me like a special card. If I went 5 minutes time out, they'd let me go out.
Yeah.
Let me do my thing, or they wanted me to go out and sit in the staff room for a lesson. So I just couldn't control myself. Because that was obviously a big factor with me. Is like with my experiences, I never channeled them in like a negative emotion. I just got really angry. Yeah. That was always my channel. When I never cry, I just get really angry. And the school understood that. Yeah. They understood that, and they said like, if you get to the point where your anger is uncontrollable, because obviously I did experience counselling at a younger age. Yeah. But without that, if I was just in a lesson and I got too angry, I wouldn't have been able to control the outcome. No, so then the school allowed me to get away from that, and I really appreciate that from the school's behalf. So yeah, like just onto the chat. So it really started all from that really, from the 30th of March. Obviously, there's been individual experiences on the way there as well. So like for example, now my dad's not very well. As you're aware, like my dad's not very well. We're not entirely sure how much he's got left, but he's still fighting strong now. He's still getting on with it. So fair play to my old man, like getting on with life.
Well done, Steve.
Like he's been told, like he might not live a year, and you know what I mean. We're always on the edge of that. But what I do respect about both of my parents, considering the circumstances that they've been in, is they both just got on with it.
They never gave
And
up.
that's a strong factor with me, Cam. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm one of them people at the moment where I'm just getting on with it. Yeah, like I don't dwell on the past. I just get on with it and take everything as a lesson. And that's something that I've taken from my parents without question because they've both been in serious illness circumstances, but they've both just got on with it.
And every time you see them, it's just this. It was just there was just nothing. It was just like Kim always had the biggest smile on her face. Every time I see her, I come in, and I remember even one day I come in and you remember she had to have that thing at your house. The big machine thing, and she had to. I remember there was just this one time, and it was the only time I see her with it. And I walked in, and she was in the front room, and she literally just had this thing for a day. And I was just like, "Are you alright?" Like, gave her a big hug, we kissed, like, and then she was just so positive. And I remember I walked into you, and I was just like, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do it. But I think if there's one thing, is that your parents and you are just have that mindset where no matter what happens today, no matter what happened yesterday, no matter what's going to happen tomorrow, you just got on with it, and you did everything with a smile on your face. You always made people happy. I just think it's just class. It's just class, and if you can keep passing that down, then you're into a winner.
Absolutely. Well, then again, there was also negatives of it. Obviously, that was always my mentality, was to just get on with it and kind of face that and just get on with life. However, that did kind of impact me in a way that I went negatively because I did boil up my emotions. In the sense of there would have been times where I felt down on, but I'd never been confident enough to speak up at a young age. Like, you know, from 14 to the age of 17, people don't understand the pressure of GCSEs, getting a college, you know, getting your results, you know, turning from a young child to an older child. Like, people don't understand the pressure of that. And mate, when I was in school, the amount of elderly people that told me appreciate this time, take everything in, and you know, do this and that. And obviously, as a kid, like I tell my nephews and nieces now, and they're like, "Oh, shut up, bro." It's like doing exactly what we would have done. And I'm sitting there now going, make the things I would have done so back then. Do you know what I mean? But so like, the problem that you do have with just getting on with things sometimes and just bottling it up is that later on in life it does come out, and it does most certainly push you into making incorrect decisions. But obviously I have kind of to an extent, different personalities, and I have different friendship groups. So, for example, I've got you and the boys that are here tonight, the mental muscle boys, and that's my sports lot. That's my go-to really nice boys.
Yeah.
And I've lived a certain lifestyle that has also put really negative people around me, and put the wrong things around me and stuff like that. So so obviously when I was 14, Mum passed away, and I carried on with life until that nothing was wrong. And then it got to an age, maybe like a year later, where it did start to slightly affect me, and that's when the smoking come into it. Obviously, I remember the first party that we went to, someone offered me a cigarette, and I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. And because it kind of did channel some inside emotion because of the mentality of me thinking that it would, it did, and that's like a part of me smoking came into it, and that's how that carried on. But then obviously sometimes you're never just satisfied with that. So obviously there was a point in my life where I did get involved with drugs and did get involved with wrong people, and people that I know shouldn't influence my life and reputation. But that's another thing that comes down to pressure.
Yeah, of course.
That everything in this world, people don't understand that everything is just, there is pressure in everything you do.
Yeah,
like even a small thing, you get pressured into thinking what this person's outcome will be with that, and there's so much pressure everywhere, and I feel like that's a massive part of the mental health now anyway. It's because like so many people have mental health and anxiety and stuff like that, like problems with that, because of the pressure that they receive elsewhere. Like even coming down from parents nowadays. Like for example, my dad comes from an era where you leave school at 16, you go to work at 16, you get a job like nothing, you pay your bills, you do your work, you go out and you do your stuff, like you just get on with it. That's the perspective of a man. But in this day and age, now that we're in it with the modern day society that we live in, that isn't the case. You can't leave school at 16, and obviously you can, but they don't like you doing that. They don't like you going to college. They don't like you leaving school early because then you get in trouble.
And then even trying to get a job in there.
Like getting a job nowadays is absolutely ridiculous.
You get an apprenticeship, you get like apprenticeship and then
it's difficult, man. And that's the kind of things that mental health strives for. That's been a big thing for me, like the last few years, been employment. So, for example, I've always been a highly motivated person. I've always strived for success, and I've always wanted good for me and my people. But the reality is that there's always going to be bumps in the way, and you never will get that when you want that. It's only now, at 20 years old, that I'm starting to see progress and starting to get success and seeing where I want to go in life. But all your childhood, you're made to think that when you turn 18, that's it. That's it. Your opportunity to be a child's gone. Here's your money, here's your bills, that's what you've got to do. It's not what it's like nowadays, but that's the perception that we get.
Exactly.
And it puts so much pressure on you from a young age.
If you're not rich by the time you fail, and you're like,
13 to 21, maybe even older than 21, them are the years that you enjoy it. But with the modern day society and the cost of life and stuff like that, people have the pressure to start early on. Like my dad's pushed me into working since I was like 14, even if it was getting 20, 30 quid a day on site or going down to like a market or something like that. My dad pushed me into that because he understood this is what it's like. You've got to get your foot in the door early on. But pressure's definitely a big part towards it all. So like I said, I got involved with the wrong people doing the wrong stuff. I was involved with selling the drugs as much as I'm doing them. Which obviously I'm not involved with anymore. I'm very happy to say that. But I understand how big it is in modern day society with stuff like that, and people that do go through mental health do resolve into stuff like that, because that was my outlet. My outlet was smoking and doing things that I knew full well I shouldn't have done, but because of the thrill or the high to an extent that I got off it. It's just like you look for an excuse to put your emotions somewhere. So for me, that's why I was smoking and getting involved with the wrong people. Keep my mind in a place that was at the time right, but now I'm older and I respect it. It's completely wrong. But that is the problem with now modern day society and the younger generations that are coming up, is that there is so many gangs and so many wrong things to get involved with.
Sometimes you can't see out of it.
No, of course, and it also comes down to your area. So there's certain kids that live in certain areas and certain estates that will feel like their childhood is being prepared to go into that group that's sitting on the corner. Do you know what I mean? And that's a big problem with mental health now, is that there is so much pressure everywhere. That was a big thing for me. Because I started working, I was in college, I was working part-time at a tool station. And I come out of that, went on to be a manager of a restaurant, and I've worked and trading jobs in between. And I got really lucky to score an insurance job, maybe about a year and a half ago. And that was all going really well, and it was only until a year that my mental health really started to come out. So about a year ago from now, my mental health went really, really downhill whilst I was working in this office job that I really appreciated. But I allowed my mental health to get in between that. And that's why I got to a point where I was like, right, I've got to talk about it now.
Yeah.
And I've got to accept the fact that I'm wrong, but at the same time, because I had that perception of being a lad and being this person that people perceive me to be that I'm not.
Brush it off.
Yeah, I was just expected to brush it off and crack on with it, and I wasn't. I think this is the biggest thing with men's mental health, is that because of the image that men are supposed to have of being the biggest geezer in the bar, or being the mouthiest person, or being the richest person and stuff like that, when an obstacle comes,
It makes you act like someone you're not.
yeah, when the obstacle comes, you don't accept it, talk about it, and work on it. You just brush it off and think, well, I can't show weakness.
Yeah.
And that was my massive problem, is that people had this perception of me, and because so many people had it, I felt like I had to live up to
You had to live up to it.
That I had to be the lad, and I had to be this person. And being in the position that I'm now, where I live on my own and stuff like that, I regret trying to live up to that expectation and be this, like, what people thought of me, and be the lad and be the big geezer in the group. Like, that I regret doing that, because there's people that I love and I've really strongly loved, and I've lost because of that.
Yeah.
And there's people that will never, like, with mental health, it affects you in so many ways. Like, for example, people will see me walking down the road and I'm not a big smiler. So people will naturally assume that I'm either like really angry or I'm really down. And there's people that I've like spent time with in the past that have seen that image of me when I have my bad mental health problems, and that's now the image they perceive of me.
Yeah.
And because I never opened up, because I never spoke about any of it,
Yeah.
that's the image they will have. And then it's upsetting as a person, because I might never get the opportunity to prove to them that I'm not that person,
Yeah.
and that I'm actually this person now, and this is actually the real me, not the mental health negative me.
Yeah.
Like, I am actually this person. But it's a shame, because the longer we like kind of hide away our mental health and stuff like that, the more people perceive of you as a
The
person.
harder it gets to
And it gets
kind of
harder.
get away from
It
it.
gets harder. I wish I had opened up a lot earlier, done things a lot differently at a certain point, and didn't care what people thought and stuff like that. And I wouldn't have been in a situation where I've lost certain people.
Yeah.
Like, we obviously lose a lot of people without having a choice, but there's certain people that we have the choice not to lose, but because of our mental state
Yeah.
and what we think is right and wrong, it affects them relationships,
Yeah.
and we lose their relationships.
110%. Well, you covered my next question. My next question was going to be, how did your environment affect your situation? But obviously you've covered that very well. That's why I think it's important to just like absolutely unapologetically just be yourself. Like ever, because there's so many other people trying to be someone else and trying to be this person, trying to be that person.
I'm a very strong image of that. I'm a very strong image of that. Like, when I first joined school, I remember I was a little fat kid, and I didn't feel known in comparison to how maybe you and some of the other boys were known. So when I've come in and I've met you lot, and I've seen you lot, and you've all got these cool stories, these cool parents and this cool lifestyle, and I've come in and I'm just like, well, I don't have that. So from a young age, I lied and gave people this perception of me to feel like I fit in. But as I grew older, I learned to understand that if you don't like that person that I naturally am, you don't have to be a part of it.
Exactly.
And people need to understand that you don't have to please everyone, you don't have to keep everyone happy. You have to be yourself. If people don't accept you for being yourself, don't adapt to it, don't change from no one, be yourself, because life is far too short for that.
Let it go.
Life is far too
110%.
short.
And one thing I want to ask is, do you feel happier now that you are yourself, and have you found that people buy into you a lot more than when you was
100%,
doing?
100%, right?
Yeah, I think that's important for the people.
I've actually learned more that the more I'm actually just myself, and the more I just be who I want to be,
the better the people you attract as well.
People accept you for that, and what you need to understand is, every time you're putting a false perception of yourself, and you're making yourself in an image that you're not,
you're making it harder to live up to.
When people get to know you, they're going to learn that that's not you.
They're just going to clock onto it and be like, hold up.
Yeah.
I could have swear.
And that's all I've done. I used to say these stories, I used to make up this stuff, and I used to kind of big up this perception and image of myself. And then a month later, they bring it up and I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I've been
like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And you're like,
you're making it harder for yourself. Then when people start noticing your lies and they start seeing the consistent routine, they'll just let you go.
Wait, what?
So then why are you going to put yourself in that situation? Like, I've lost a lot of people just because I've tried to be someone that I'm not. But then I've met so many more people that I actually genuinely get on with now than myself.
Yeah.
Like, you find your crowd by being your own person.
Absolutely. You attract, I think you just attract like-minded people, and if people don't want to buy into you, then people won't buy into you, and I think that's great, because then everyone that does buy into you is nearly almost a great friend.
100%. It's about having more consistent best friends than having loads of little friends that you're not actually being true to yourself.
It's 2 to 3 friends like that you know. If I call you up, you're gonna be there. Rather than having 50 friends, you talk to all these people and all of this, all buddy. It all looks good for the socials and all that. But
that's a big reason. That obviously, you know, I mean, how long was I not on social media for?
like years.
I come on social media for years, and also there
Like
was
4 or 5 years.
Yeah, there was obviously particular reasons as to why I did come on social media, but the biggest reason for it being was just like,
Get off.
I promise you now, social media and modern technology is the biggest cause for mental health.
Yeah,
Because for me personally, I'm looking on Instagram, I'm looking at people's Snapchat stories, and you get this image of people, and people will only ever post their best moments, and they will see what
they
people
want
want
you
them
to
to see. So I'm sitting there personally, for me, like, I'm not made of money, I work hard for my money that I've got now, and I'm very fortunate to have my dad that has supported me in the past.
Yeah.
And my sister as well, they've both financially supported me where need be. I'm very lucky to have my own place now and have my own income and having a good job and stuff like that.
Of course.
So I'm very fortunate for that. But do you know what I mean? Like in the past, I've never had that.
No.
I never had that. So when I'm sitting there seeing people going on all these holidays and doing this, that, and the other, wearing this designer clothes,
You just be like,
I'm now sitting there going, well, I feel bad. I feel bad on myself.
I feel like I should have that.
I want to be you.
That's the 1% that
But
have that as well.
that's not that person though. You don't know. Obviously, there's the occasional person that is that person. But the
very
rarity of
rarely,
people
man.
living that luxury life is not what it is percepted to be.
Oh, man.
So that's why I thought, do you know, I'm going to come off it. And do you know, when I did come off it, I was better off for it.
Yeah.
So much better off for it because I wasn't sitting there comparing myself to this person and that person. And another thing as well, social media makes it easier for people to get to you. So when people start getting to you without it, you know they want to talk to you.
Yeah.
They know you care. And
I feel
that's a big thing.
like when you're on it, you're very accessible. You post a story and someone could be like,
Yeah.
oh, I haven't thought about Jimmy in a while. I'm gonna.
Like,
pop
even
to it."
now, I've come back on it recently. I've come back onto Snapchat and I'm slightly on Instagram, but not massively. And I've only added, you know, people that I consider myself close to. Because I don't necessarily want everyone to see what's going on in my life. I don't want to see what's going on in everyone else's life. Because come and experience it with me.
Yeah.
You know, or I come and experience it with you, or we meet up somewhere in the middle. Like, I don't want to just see what you're doing by your phone. Like, I want to go and experience it myself.
Yeah, man. And I think it's like a lot of people are like, oh, social media is so bad. But social media is great if you use it correctly.
Absolutely, no, I agree with that.
If you misuse it, mate, you're in a downhill spiral. Like, if you use it correctly, mate, it can be so great for all aspects. But yeah, it's tough. But I just pray that people come to realise sooner than later about it and how to use it and how to train your mind and and just get around things. Moving on to my last 2 questions. These are quite like short and snappy ones. First one, what do you do the most that helps your mental health? What do you? Sports.
Sports, not even a question. Absolutely.
And
not even
why
a
do you
question.
think that is?
Because you're active. For example, me and yourself, we've set up this Addiscombe Casuals football team, Mental Muscle Football Club. You know, if you're not keeping up to date with it, check out the Instagram or YouTube coming and stuff like that. So myself and Cameron have set up a football team, and we've got all our players that we play with, also from loads of boys from far that haven't played the game for years or been a big part of it for a long time. Got everyone together playing football, and like I'm speaking to boys that haven't played football for 5 or 6 years that are maybe not involved in the correct lifestyle. And they're calling me up going, I can't wait for this Sunday. Like, if you set yourself goals, like for example, I've said to you, I want to win a trophy this year. So me and you are now sitting down, you know, week in, week out going, how can we do that? What can we do about it? We're putting our mentality and our mindset into things that are positive. You know, a big problem like with me was that I was putting all my energy into the negatives. You know, for example, like one of my favourite quotes is, don't let yesterday ruin a good today, don't let a bad yesterday ruin a good today. Like, because that's a big thing. Obviously, with mental health, the biggest thing is overthinking, especially nowadays. Like, you know, for me personally, I've had a lot of people say it's weird that I sleep with the TV on, but I sleep with the TV on because if it's completely silent, I'm a strong overthinker. So I sleep with the telly on. Like, there's always ways to get around things, and people don't understand it. Like, it's not a sign of weakness to do something different. Like, people look at me going, oh, we put the telly on, you're weird for it. I'm like, yeah, but that's my way of coping with it.
It's not weird. It's just this is me.
And I think that's the thing. A lot of people do. It's because everyone's the same. Everyone's the same. So whenever someone does something a little bit different, everyone's a bit like,
Why are you doing that?
you're weird.
Yeah,
It's just like, no, I'm not weird. I'm myself. It's like you're trying to be someone that you're not. If you acted like yourself, someone's going to call you weird.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just like...
Then you shouldn't care what anyone thinks.
No.
It's just got to be yourself. But yeah, no, definitely what helps my mental health is definitely keeping active, getting involved in sports. And it's not even that, it's going out and doing things you wouldn't normally do and going things. For me, like, there was a gap in my life and my mental health was really bad. So what I now try and do is just try and avoid doing the things that I was doing then.
Yeah.
So I do new things. Like I do, like, what would I say no to 3 years ago that I do yes to now?
Yeah.
Or what would I have never ever thought of trying or doing as a kid that I'm willing to try now?
Yeah.
Like just doing all them different things, getting involved in sport, getting a hobby, finding that thing that fascinates you. But no, 100%, keep busy, keep active. For me, you know what I mean, without football, I don't know where I'd be.
Yeah.
And there's always people that, you know, certain ways I'm in boxing or rugby, and obviously I'm very big on my boxing, and I've got a lot of things coming up, all my injuries back. You know, focusing on stuff like that, setting yourself goals and giving yourself something to look forward to is always the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Because there was a point in my life where I was unemployed for months, months and months and months, and obviously where I live on my own, I'm sitting indoors all the time, I haven't got no money, I'm just paying my bills, scratching to pay my bills, but I've got no money to go out and see my friends or go out and do this, so all the time you're sitting indoors doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not gonna have a positive effect on you.
No.
Especially when you're an active person like me, that's getting out, that's meeting people and doing new things and all that stuff. So yeah, definitely keeping active, keeping on your feet, keeping your mind occupied.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I couldn't say anything to by myself, to be honest with you. Which leads me on to my last point. For anyone who might be watching this, whether it's one person or 100,000 people, what's your one piece of advice for anyone who's struggling right now? Tricky one, no? One piece, that's it.
If I had someone sitting in front of me now,
You got someone right there. That golden monkey that's on there.
That golden monkey down there.
He's just told me that he's struggling, and I want you to.
Well, I'll tell you that you're all right. Yeah, the biggest thing with mental health now is that we question so much what's wrong and right. You're all right. Yeah, don't compare yourself to the next person that's felt like this or done this. You're absolutely fine. Just stay positive. Keep your mindset. Keep yourself busy, and just keep smiling. Tomorrow's another day. Yesterday's in the past.
Yeah.
You know, you're more than welcome to reach out to people like me and Cam. Talk. I didn't speak to no one for years and years and years, and then, like I said, my previous insurance job, my stepmom picked me up, and I sat in the car with her and I said, I need help now. I said, I can't do it. And ever since that, I've been on such a progressive forward path, and I'm experiencing new things and doing new things that I never even thought about doing, and that's simply for the fact that I reached out to people that I didn't even think would give me the advice that I needed to start.
Give you the time of day, innit?
But yeah, just, you're all right. I have so many people, like a couple of my best friends, I won't name names, but a couple of my best friends sit there and go, I don't feel alright with myself, and I'm like, you're all right, you're fine. You know, stop thinking that you're not, because you're absolutely fine. There's so many people that are struggling with so many things nowadays. You are not alone.
Yeah,
you just really are. Like, be the person that you least expect not to be alright. That is alright with you.
I tell you that, mate.
Yeah. There's so many people. A lot of mental health comes down to insecurities. Don't be insecure. You're a beautiful person inside and out in your own very own way, and everyone needs to understand that. And everyone just needs to come together. There's too much conflict in the world, in a bad place right now. Everyone just needs a shoulder. Give that person a shoulder. You know, don't. Like I said earlier, don't percept an image of what's right and wrong. You be your own person and worry about what everyone else cares about later on. Yeah, for those that do have mental health problems, you're all right. Yeah, and
it's temporary.
Better things are to come. Much better things are to come. You know, you're in a hard place right now. You're in a bit of a drought. You don't know where you want to go. You are fine, and everything will work itself out. I promise.
Amen to that.
Promise.
I've got nothing else to say. I think we covered everything. I was very, very nervous about this tonight.
Oh mate, 100%.
Do you know what I know? I think this will be the hardest episode for me, yeah, is because genuinely, when I say this, anytime anyone has ever spoke about what happened with Jimmy and his mum, I'm always a bit like, oh, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. And then I can't lie, there was a minute in that whole thing when that second question. Inside I'm like, don't do it. Like, don't do it. I'm grabbing this. I'm thinking, sorry.
But at the same time, what I will say from that is that it's all right to cry.
Yeah.
It's all right to
don't
cry.
be afraid
Let
to
your
cry.
emotions out.
I just couldn't. I just had to get this episode
Even if you're
out.
the biggest geezer in the room and everyone has this perception of you, be yourself. If you want to cry, cry. There's nothing wrong with it.
And cry unapologetically.
But you can
Cry your eyes out.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel better, cry your eyes out.
And smile after.
Smile after.
Cry your tears, smile after, and let today be another day.
And I think that is the perfect note to leave it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, by far, I think that'll be the hardest episode for me, but probably one of the most rewarding. I think it feels, even now, just that, I don't know how long this has been going on for, but to talk about it, and it just feels so much better.
Yeah. And it's nice to see progress as well. I'm sitting here, I'm smiling, I'm happy with my life. I've got good things going on around me. I've got good things coming to me. Yeah. But I never thought that was going to happen. So it's nice to see progress, and we want to see it in you guys as well. Yeah. We want to hear your stories. We want to see where you're going. We want to see what you want to do. Yeah. Set yourself goals, even if it's not on camera, even if it's not going out on the social medias. Just message us and have a chat. We want to know what's going on with you people.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in to this, whether it's one person, like I said, or millions and millions of people that might eventually see this. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for trying to be the change with us, to be honest. It's not easy what we're trying to do here, and it's going to be a very bumpy journey, but I think one that's definitely going to be worth it. And no better way to start it with what a story, what a man. So yeah, please share this wherever you can. Share this with all of your people, all your friends, families, cats, dogs, snakes, whatever tickles your fancy. All people watching this on YouTube, please give it a like, thumbs up,
comment and
subscribe. Definitely subscribe if you found this useful. Let us know. I'll put both of our social medias in the platform in the description below. If you message Jimmy on Instagram, he'll probably reply to you in about 6 weeks' time because he doesn't check it. But I'll be pretty responsive. And yeah, peace. Over and out!